Guys, welcome back into the third episode of Favorite Movie and Why, the series where I sit down with film YouTubers, ask them various different questions about movies, YouTube, everything in between. But the first question they get is, what is your favorite movie and why? Episode number 3, episode 1, Chris from Filmstock, episode 2, Zach Pope. And today we are joined by who I would say is probably, I don't really think there's much competition, the biggest Spider-Man fanatic in the history of Spider-Man ever. We are joined by CertainVids today, man. How are you doing? Thank you for taking the time to come on the channel today.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you having me on, and that's one way to describe me for sure. I am definitely a Spider-Man fan. I don't know if I'm the biggest in history, but I do care about the character, and I am very much devoted to the source material and all the adaptations. So yeah, I appreciate you having me on once again, and I'm ready to do this.
Yeah, of course, man. We've been trying to get this collab going for a little while now.
Yes.
And few stats before we get in. You got over 150 followers on Twitter, and almost
right.
we are really close to 300 subscribers on YouTube.
We are.
You are getting there. Congratulations, man. Your stuff is
Appreciate
really great.
it.
And you
Appreciate
were
it.
actually we talked about we DM'd back and forth a little bit. You were the inspiration for me to make my update video where I announced as well that I am no longer doing movie reviews ever. Not ever, but like no longer doing movie reviews on a frequent basis.
Right.
I
saw that.
That was big inspiration because I was like, I kind of agree with what he's saying. I was like, that kind of makes a lot of sense. And then I was like, I just don't really enjoy doing it anymore. So very big inspiration, man.
Yeah, that was kind of like, I didn't really realize it for a while, but it was just, I guess, like an epiphany pretty much, because I was just like, all of a sudden, I'm like, do I want to do this? And I really didn't. So I thought about it, and I was like, if I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do it. And I gave up on it. And then I saw you shouted me out in your video, and I did appreciate that. So we kind of had the same thought process going there. It was basically just like, I don't want to do it. I don't feel like I'm providing what I can provide. So I just pulled the plug, and so far it hasn't really affected me all that much. In fact, people are actually congratulating me on changing gears and doing something different. So it's been working out pretty well.
That's great, man. That's great. And your videos so far have been great. I've been watching all of your videos. Like we talked about before we started the recording, you actually did your top 30 favorite movies yesterday.
I did.
Yesterday from the day that we're recording this. Is going to go up in a few weeks, but
right.
So if people were there, they might already know the answer to the first question, but we will still get into it for people that may not have joined. So we're going to hop right in. Obviously, the show is called Favorite Movie and Why. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what is your favorite movie and why?
So my favorite movie of all time, I've kept it a secret until yesterday. I was hyping it up, kind of making it a mystery. But it's no mystery to anybody who knows me. It is Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, in my opinion, the greatest comic movie of all time. That is, and it's weird because that didn't used to be my favorite movie. I always actually preferred the first one growing up, and looking back on it now, I do know why that is, because it is a more enjoyable film in a way. It's definitely more cheesy, got more quotable lines, more just it's just a more entertaining film. But because Spider-Man 2 is my favorite film, I have more fun with it, obviously. But it never used to be my favorite film. But I think it was this year that I just rewatched it for like, I don't know, probably the 200th time, and I just saw it in a new light. I just saw what made people hype it up a lot, and I saw all of it. And right now, it is my favorite movie of all time, and I can't ever see that changing, because when I think about it, I'm like, this really is the perfect movie for me, because it just checks all the boxes that I want to have checked as a Spider-Man film. It does everything right, and so that is my favorite movie of all time.
And so I'll kind of go off a little bit. I asked this same question to Zach Pope as well. You said, so forever it was the first Spider-Man, your favorite.
Right.
That was it. And then you said you had this epiphany about a year ago or however long ago when you watched it. So what was that? Was it just that you were like, oh my gosh, this ticks all the boxes? Or, kind of what was the process of, changing and seeing that Spider-Man 2 was in fact your favorite?
Right. So the first film, like I said, it was always more entertaining to me. This one, I saw it, and I guess really I just hadn't been seeing it before. I really can't pinpoint it that well, but it was just like I saw all the layers I saw all the depth, everything, all the underlying messages, all that stuff. I really was able to pick up on that. So it's really just like, I guess, a spur of the moment kind of thing where I just saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. So it was just like a sudden change that I wasn't really expecting, but I was like, I haven't ever given this that fair chance because I've always just had more fun, and I don't want to just be all about fun, right? I want to actually view it, analyze it. Is this really what it's made out to be? And I think it is. So I guess it just changed just kind of on the spot.
It's very interesting how movies can do that. You know, you think
Yes.
you're so steadfast on this is the best, and then all of a sudden you
Right.
watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is incredible. You know, something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, one more question about Spider-Man before we hop into some other stuff about YouTube in general. What was your first experience with this film? You know, way back in the day. You say you've seen it probably over 200 times now, but what was that
Yeah.
first experience that you remember with this film?
I'm pretty sure it was when I was around maybe 4 or 5. The third one had come out, and I saw the third one on DVD, and then, well, at home, and then the first two I think my parents have brought me to watch as well. So I'm pretty sure I just watched the entire trilogy for the first time on DVD at home. I sadly didn't get to see it in theaters, but that was probably, I can't even remember my exact experience with this film, but it was just so many times just on loop. I'm pretty sure this is the one, surprisingly enough, even though I always preferred the first one up until recently. This was the one that I'm pretty sure I've rewatched the most. It's either this or Spider-Man 3. That was just always on a constant loop in my house on my TV. I just always watched this film. So I'm pretty sure it was when I was 4 or 5, I got both of these on DVD, or all three on DVD.
Yeah, I mean that the humble beginnings, man. I mean that's how I was introduced to the original trilogy on Star Wars on DVD at my house
Right.
when I was like
Hmm.
5 or 6 years old. I mean those moments are so precious and they're so great because you can never
For
relive
sure.
that again. You know, it's awesome. Um,
Yes, exactly.
yeah, exactly, man. And so we're gonna stop talking about Spider-Man 2 for now. Although I know you'd love to talk about it every second of every day. Um,
Exactly.
but we're
Yes.
gonna we're gonna get in a little more to you and your YouTube channel and more stuff like that. So I want to just
Right.
ask first off, where did the idea come from? Where did you get this idea to start a YouTube channel?
So I actually had one back in middle school. I used to run that, and I grew it like a decent amount, but for some reason it just got taken down. I tried contacting them. They didn't really give me any explanation. I was like, okay, that just happened. And then I decided to start another one, and it was kind of the same deal as the first one because I just didn't really know what to do. But for whatever reason, I just suddenly started watching all these movie YouTubers, right? I just started to get into that area, and I was like, I'll just make it on this stuff. And even from the beginning, I diverged a little bit into just like general film, but ever since the beginning, I did really want to do just comic book movie stuff, and that's kind of where I'm heading back towards right now. But that's where I kind of started out because I always had a channel, and I was just like, it was just something that I wanted to do. Like even when I didn't, like even before I had a YouTube channel, I just like recorded videos of myself just talking to no one in particular. It was just me being crazy. But I did those videos, and I was like, you know what, I'll start posting them. So I did that channel back in middle school, which didn't really have any focus, but it was still like, me making videos and just for the fun of it, right? Because that's why we're doing this. We like making these videos. We like talking. We have fun doing this. That's why we're doing it. So I started posting those videos, and then eventually I came up with the idea for this channel, which didn't always used to be about film. All the non-film related videos I privated a long time ago, but I decided I need a niche. I need something that the channel should be about. And so I'm glad I chose film because I've met so many amazing people and I've created friends online. So that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah, it's great, and the film community on YouTube is very tight knit. It's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so we're going to continue on a little bit about your channel. You know, obviously we talked a little bit earlier about, you made the announcement, no more movie reviews, kind of
Yeah.
refining the channel a little bit. You said you've gotten some
Yes.
nice feedback on that. So
Yeah.
I just kind of want to ask, we there's been a lot of downtime this year with, the pandemic going on and stuff. And what I've heard from a lot of YouTubers is like, they wanted to take this time to like grow and continue to expand and expand their horizons. So what have you been doing, so far this year, that you've been doing to, kind of grow the channel? What have you been doing for that?
Yeah, so it's interesting because like the more I think about it, the more I realize that I wouldn't be where I am right now, like in this moment in time, if this pandemic hadn't happened. And that's really strange and kind of puzzling to think about. But the more I think about it, I think it's true. I think really a couple months back when everything started, and I just had like so much downtime because, restrictions, you can't go out anywhere, all that. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at making a video essay. Because I've seen a bunch of them, and I wasn't really that good at it back then. I was just writing a script basically. But I tried it, and I was like, this could go somewhere, but I'm not where I need to be right now. And so I kind of diverged from that. But then the more I really started to think about it, I was like, this is how I could put my spin on that particular concept. And I did that with the Spider-Man 2 video. And that one was where people were like, yes, we need more of this. We want to see videos like this. And I was like, I could make this the new forefront. I could go forward with this. And so things happened, thoughts occurred, and I was like, okay, I'm a video essayist now. That's what I'm going to do moving forward. So it's really just that thing just clicked, which was I don't want to do movie reviews anymore, which I don't think I would have stopped doing movie reviews again if this pandemic hadn't hit. So really, I owe my entire revamp to the pandemic. So it's interesting that way. It's kind of a hidden blessing, but that's kind of, I guess it's just that change towards video essays. That's the new focus. That's what I'm kind of going forward with, that I'm really using to kind of change trajectory, kind of make the channel something more than what it has been thus far. I'm still keeping some things, like I'm doing the weekly live streams. I'm doing some rankings in a way, which I'm going to start doing those again with like a new kind of loophole with that, if you want to call it that. But video essays is kind of where I'm at now.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting, and it's great to find. It was kind of scary for myself as well. When I was like, I'm not going to do movie reviews anymore. It's like, okay, well, what do you replace that with?
Yes.
What do you do with the audience? And I think video essays. That's where you said you thrive, and you think this is what people want to see.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. It's really awesome. And that is an interesting take on the pandemic. Have it being kind of the driving force for your channel revamp, because
Right.
that's what I've heard from a lot of people is like, this pandemic, we've had to get really creative. We've had to figure out what's going on because no movies. So
Exactly.
that's really interesting. So I'm going to ask you this question now, and I'm going to and it's just more about the channel. But it's a little more personal and deeper than kind of the base. What is one thing that you wish you knew when you started YouTube? It could even be back. It could be back in middle school, or it could be when you started the CertainVids channel. It could be.
Yeah.
What is one thing you wish you knew that you know now?
So it's really there's multiple angles to it, I think, but the one thing that I have realized and that I have struggled with, maybe, I don't know if I struggled with this back in middle school, but with this channel, I definitely, it's like if I'm starting the channel and I can give some advice, it'd be like, don't do what you don't want to do. That's the big takeaway that I've come out with, because at the end of the day, YouTube, it's a corporation, right? But then every individual channel is kind of its own independent business. Because when you think of like real life, if you subscribe to something like a subscription service, you're paying money to see what you want to see. YouTube subscribing is free, but it's people liking what they see and they want more of that, right? So you have to cater to the audience, but you can't do that in a way that you're not satisfied with. You have to, if not all the time, if you're doing something, it may not all the time be what people want to see. So you just have to find that middle ground, right? Where you're doing something you're passionate about and that you want to do, and that people are also enjoying spending their time watching, right? That's really the big takeaway I've come out with, because for a long time I was doing movie reviews and I was like, I like this because like I like these movies, but I don't know if I want to continue with this. And it's weird too, like stopping movie reviews, because that's what I started out doing. That's what I wanted to be known for. But I guess it's just, opinions change, thoughts, agendas change, right? So it's like, that's what I wanted to do, but it's not anymore. So really just, if you know what you want to do, then do that. If you don't like doing that, then stay away from it. Because if this becomes something that you don't like doing, then what's the point of spending all this effort, all this time, right? All these hours every week into a channel if you don't even like the content that you're producing. If you don't like what you're producing, why would other people like it, right? So it's kind of a chain reaction that way. So really just hone in on what you like doing. And at the beginning, it may not be what everybody wants, but if it's a niche that you like, people will come to you. They will discover that content, and if it's something that they enjoy, they will continue to consume that content. So really just do what it is that you like. That's really the biggest takeaway I've come out with.
Yeah, and that is fantastic advice for anyone that is just starting a YouTube channel. So we already kind of talked a little bit about what your plans are for the future. We kind of covered that already. So I'm gonna kind of deviate off that path a little bit and say, what are some hopes and some aspirations that you would like to accomplish with this channel? Kind of what is the overarching kind of goal that you would like to do with this channel?
So like I've mentioned continuous times, I did want to be a movie reviewer, and so for a while it might have been to just become a movie critic, but really I just want to grow the community, right? I just want to expand the amount of people that are in CB Nation, which is kind of like my tag name for like all the subscribers, right? So just grow this community to the point where it's like a lot of people interacting on the same things, talking about the same things, right? Disagreements, agreements, all that fun stuff. It's discourse. I really just the fan base, maybe not subscribers necessarily, because I mean, I could say I want 100,000 subscribers, but do I really want that? I mean, because I'd be fine with like 1,000 or 2,000, but all of them interacting on the fly, every single day, interacting with each other, creating bonds, right? Creating friendships like I've created friendships. So it's really just I don't like video. I don't think video essayists really are considered critics in a way like movie critics like Rotten Tomatoes approve or anything like that. But so that's not really anything I can aim for at this point. But it's really just grow the channel and then grow that fan base along with that.
Yeah, and start a conversation.
Start a conversation.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people, I think even now, are trying to do, because it's hard, with movie theaters. Well, they're starting to open back up, but like for a while there was nothing. So a lot of people were doing things that were trying to start a conversation, and I think that that's a really great route to take, because it's better to have, like you said, it's better to have like 1,000 people that will always be there and always watching the videos and engaging, than have 100,000 people and they're all bots and no one's going to show up.
Exactly.
I think that's actually that's a really, really great way to take that. So we've covered the channel, we've covered your love for Spider-Man 2. So I'm gonna hit you with some quick fire. They're just some general movie slash personal questions that you can take all the time you want. I just call them quick fire because they're quicker than the other ones. But the first one is one that I've actually really enjoyed hearing what people have to say about. What is, and I actually might know the answer to this, what is the one movie that you wish you could have seen in theaters that you were unable to?
Well, the obvious answer is Spider-Man 2, or any of the movies in my favorite trilogy of all time, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. But really, it would have to be The Prestige, because for anyone who didn't watch my stream, that is my second favorite movie of all time, right behind Spider-Man 2. And it's not like visually stunning. Like if I were to go visually, I would love to see Interstellar, because that has plot, that has story, but that has the visuals. But with something like The Prestige, that is probably my favorite ending to any film. And to just experience that, it doesn't even have to be a theater. If I can just watch that movie for the first time again, I would give anything to do that, because that's something you can't ever do once you do it. You can't ever watch a movie for the first time again. If I can just watch The Prestige one more time, it can be in the theater, it can not be in the theater. If I can just watch it for the first time, experience that intricate and twisty, mind-bending in a way plot, I do it in a heartbeat, right? But in the theater would be even better, because I love plot twist movies in the theater. Just like not being able to say anything because like it makes noise, but just like inaudible, just like taking it all in. I would love to experience a movie like The Prestige.
It's such a brilliant movie, man. It's such
So
a brilliant
brilliant.
movie. Yeah, absolutely. The next one, what has been your proudest moment so far in your YouTube career?
Proudest. So there was one video. I think this happens to most people, but it was a video I never expected to get a lot of views, but it did. It was a long time ago. It was when Endgame was around $7 million away from beating Avatar, and I decided to make a video on that. And it's weird too, but in a way, it's kind of explainable. That was the video that really blew up. But then I made a video on Endgame passing Avatar, but that one didn't really do that well. So it was like the one video that I wasn't really expecting, that was the one that really took off. I think it was just like some videos that took off. But Proudest, I did meet a lot of great creators, did lots of fun streams and all that. So that was definitely a fun time. But Proudest video, like video I am proudest of having made, is that Spider-Man 2 video essay, because that's a movie I'm passionate about. And that was an angle of the film that I hadn't really explored. And so it was really fun to dive deep into that particular aspect. So I really did like making that video, and it was fun to make. It was fun to make because the editing process was like harsh. It was like a lot that went into it, but I don't know. I enjoy a challenge, so it was a fun video to make, and it was fun to see how people reacted, because everybody knows how I feel about the film. So that was definitely a fun video.
Yeah, video essays they are like the best looking videos, but
Right.
man, if they aren't the hardest thing to edit. Like
They are so hard, man. It's like, so normal videos I used to be able to edit in like a day, or like in one sitting, at one point. But video essays, I've been working on the Homecoming one for like the past 3 weeks, man. It is gruesome, but it's worth it. Once you see, because like it's like a nice polished little thing that you just made. It's your creation, right? It feels like something that you poured blood and sweat into, and now you're gonna put it out there into the world. So it's hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and it's also tough because you don't ever have your face on screen. You can have your
Yeah.
face on screen as much, but like when you don't have that, it's like, okay, I have to cover all of this time with video that I have to
Yes.
find and chop up and make sure it's fine. Like
Right.
when right before Endgame came out, I did a um I did a the entire MCU in under 10 minutes video, where
Wow.
it was me recapping everything that happened in the MCU up until Endgame. And I had to write it first, and that took maybe a day or so. And then editing it was such a pain in the butt. But I was like, Endgame comes out tomorrow. This has to go up. So
Yeah.
I've got so much respect for people that do video essays. It's so insane.
It's a tough process. It's a longer process than a regular video.
Yeah. And another quick fire question that we have to ask, and this one has been fun to ask. What is your most anticipated video? Not just for this year. It can be any movie that is coming out in the future that we already know is coming. What is your most anticipated movie for any time in the future?
As much as I want to see the Batman, I can't think of a movie. If I can just watch this and nothing else, I'd be fine. It's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because in Sam Raimi I trust, because he is like my second favorite director, probably behind Christopher Nolan. And I'm so stoked that he's returning to the comic book world after the Raimi trilogy, which is my favorite trilogy of all time. I just want to see him blow everyone, just blow everyone's minds. Just be like, I still got it. Like I can still do greatness, right? Prove all the naysayers wrong. I just want to see what he can craft with this mind, just like crazy, insane multiverse story. And I don't know, I probably don't. I can't call myself a fan of that trilogy if I don't cry when if Tobey Maguire shows up. So that's gonna be like if that happens, that's gonna be the most insane reaction I've ever experienced in any theater screening ever. So there's so many possibilities with that film. I'm gushing over it, and I don't even know what it's about, right? I'm so excited for it, but I don't even know really what the plot is, what's going to happen, how's it going to affect anything. I don't know anything about it, but I'd be totally fine having not seen a trailer, having not seen any sort of glimpse of footage. I'd be fine with just watching that movie for the next couple of years, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that that film I think has the potential of all of them, maybe minus the Eternals, to be like the ground shattering, completely changing the MCU film. Like I think it could open so many doors for so many different things.
Right, and that's probably the only film off the slate that they have announced that I'm really looking forward to at all. Besides, like all the other ones, I'm iffy on them. Right, I'd much rather would see DC slate, but even out of the amazing potential DC's upcoming movies have, I don't think they touch Doctor Strange. And I love the first one. The first one is super underrated in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see the follow up.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And I got to ask you one more question before we get to the finale. And this one is completely for you. I have not asked anyone else this on this series so far because I'm curious. I want to know, and you said you were working on a video about this. You've been working on a video about this for the past few weeks. What is it about Far From Home I really don't know, and I'm legitimately asking this because I am
Yeah.
curious. Like
Right.
I don't know, like because I enjoyed Far From Home. I thought
Right.
it was a relatively good movie, and I respect everyone's opinion. That's why I'm asking. I want to know, what
Right.
is it about Far From Home that you don't like about
So it's an interesting story with that one because I really liked the film coming out of the theater, and I've talked about this plenty. How I I love the film coming out of the theater, and it's like it's gone down so drastically on rewatches. Um, I think number one, I find too many logic holes in that film, which I can go off on so many tangents about. I don't want to waste your time, so I won't go into it here. But I find maybe a bit too many holes in that film. And then as a Spider-Man story, it's kind of the easiest, kind of most digestible criticism I can give at the moment is probably that I don't love Homecoming. I like it. It's not the best, but I can still enjoy it at certain points. I really liked the ending of that film with Peter having accepted his role as his own person. Right, he's not completely obsessing over Tony. He's like, I'm gonna be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And then they kind of turned back on that Infinity War and all that. But because they did that, now the entirety of Far From Home is kind of him rediscovering that aspect, right? It's kind of him going through that same arc, and it's as if we didn't really go anywhere. So it would have been more interesting if he like actually progressed, but it's kind of just the same arc told with different ideas, which kind of to like upon like first watch, it's kind of you don't really notice it, but the more you think about it, hang on, weren't you? And even in the movie itself, not just with Homecoming, with the scene with Happy on the plane, it's like Happy was telling him, you're nobody can be like Tony, not even Tony could live up to Tony and all that. You have to be you. But then they kind of step back on that with AC/DC immediately playing, and that's an immediate callback to Iron Man. So it's really just a thematic problem, which is probably the one thing I can mention off the bat, that it's not really progressing his story, really, in my opinion. So that's really an issue I have. And I don't know, maybe the third one is all about him rediscovering his identity. I don't know, but like so far, what they've shown is like, have we really gone anywhere? That's really what I can say.
it? Yeah, that now that you talk about that, actually, I do see where you're coming from. That does make sense. There are plot holes. Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's just a thing. But yeah, I mean, very interesting to hear your perspective, because, you know, I've been in the camp of like, you know, I tend to enjoy the movie. I think Mysterio is a great villain. I think, you know, there's some great sequences, and I genuinely enjoy Tom Holland as Peter Parker. But I
Yeah.
do like to see other people's perspectives, because I respect them and I respect the opinions. So that's really awesome. But yeah, last question I have for you, man. I'm going to hit you with the Sean Evans type Hot Ones ending. And I'm going to say, hey, where can everyone find you? What are you working on? Just lay it all out there. Tell everyone where they can find you, what you've got coming up, what the future holds.
Right. So I do want to thank you one more time for having me on as a part of your series. It was a ton of fun. But you can find me on YouTube at CertainVids. There's no spaces in that. I do have a channel. I'm working on a homecoming video, which I'm hoping to put out by either tomorrow or this Thursday at the time of the recording. So tomorrow is the 15th, if I'm not mistaken, and then Thursday is the 17th. So one of those 2 days, I should be able to put out that video. Other than that, I have, after that, a project that I'm working on with, I guess you're the first person to really not in that group to know about this. So exclusive information here, folks. I am working on with a bunch of creators on a project called One Spectacular Scene. It is, you take all the Spider-Man movies. It doesn't have to be your favorite film out of those, but you pick one scene and you make a video on that. I don't know if you've seen some video essays. People have done this for the X-Men movies. Back when I think Infinity War was coming out, they did this for the MCU films. So we're kind of doing it with the Spider-Man films. You pick one scene, you explain why that scene means the most to you out of all the other ones, right? It doesn't have to be your favorite film out of the bunch, but that scene specifically, why that means the most to you. I'm doing my video is going to be on the scene where Peter forgives Sandman in Spider-Man 3. So that's the one I've chosen. That's the next video essay that's going to be coming out. So those are the two videos that you can look forward to. And then obviously with the second one, there's going to be all these creators that you probably know. They're going to be releasing videos around the same time as mine. And there's going to be one mega playlist where you can see all those videos. I'm on Instagram at CertainVids, Twitter at CertainVids, Letterboxd at CertainVids. All those platforms very active on, especially Twitter. I get into a lot of debates on there. So it's you can find me on all those social media platforms and very active on there. But yeah, thank you again for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on, man. I've wanted to have a conversation with you for a while and do a collab. But yeah, guys, I will leave all of his stuff down below in the description. I will put that Far From Home video down in the description. Yeah, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video, episode 3. Thank you for the support. The support has been really, really great on these first 2 videos.
Yeah.
I'm really glad how they've turned out. I hope you guys have tuned in and watched this one as well, because this was another fantastic conversation. But guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.